The PlayStation 1, this legend has so many games, great games that will be remembered for all time. Some of my best memories are with this sexy silver stallion, and now with the magic of emulation, I can have a PlayStation 1 wherever I go. This is a top 10 list for PlayStation 1 games that work great on your smartphone. Let's face it, Play Store app games suck. Most of them, anyway. Why play this when you could play this? What separates this list from a top 10 all-time PlayStation 1 games list? Emulating on your smartphone has both disadvantages and advantages. We'll just run through these quickly. Disadvantages. Number 1, shoulder buttons. Shoulder buttons feel unnatural and awkward. If you have games like Medal of Honor and James Bond that require heavy use of these buttons, you'll feel like a T-Rex with arthritis in just a few minutes. Disadvantage 2, directional buttons. You'll notice this with games that require quick turns and quick reactions because you can't feel the buttons or lean your thumb like you would on a controller. It's quite awkward to get fluid movement. Disadvantage 3, combinations of buttons. Hitting specific buttons while keeping your focus on what's on your screen is near impossible. If you need to hit specific buttons in combos, you're going to have to look at the buttons. This is why you won't see any beat 'em ups on this list. As much as I'd love to put Tekken 3, imagine trying to do this. Yeah, good luck. But with these disadvantages come some pretty awesome advantages. Advantage 1, GameShark codes. If you ever had one of these, then you were blessed. GameShark has a little device you connect to the back of your PlayStation. You turn the game on and it goes straight to a cheat menu, and you could select any cheat you wanted for any game. Infinite health, infinite ammo, infinite anything. And this is what would be amazing about the GameShark. You could mess with the game's code, and this would have some unbelievable results. For example, debug modes, play as Sephiroth, play as 20 times the size of your character. And my all-time favourite is Silent Hill Rollerblade mode. Advantage 2, save states. Remember when dying had consequences? Remember being legit terrified the fact that if you die, you're going to lose about 30 minutes of progress, ink ribbons, save crystals, and whatever this thing was. Seriously, what is this? Losing your progress is frustrating, especially if you don't save for a long time. And some games don't want you to save. If you want to get A ranks or 10 stars and S ranks, well, save states let you save anywhere, anytime, and the game doesn't even know. Okay, so that's enough. Let's crack on with the list. Number 10, Tomba. Tomba is a fun platform RPG side-scroller, sort of like a happy, cheesy, cartoony Zelda. You play as Tomba, a pink-haired boy kicking the sausages out of pigs, but these are evil pigs that stole your granddad's bracelet. You dirty swine. Fun graphics, cool bosses, and an overall happy vibe. Also, you can take a mushroom that turns you schizophrenic for the entire game. Number 9, Kingsfield US 1, the PlayStation 1 Dark Souls. Yes please. You play as Prince Alexander, who is off to retrieve the Holy Sword, known as the Moonlight Sword. Your ship is sunk, and now you're washed on the island of Melanat, with nothing but a dagger to defend yourself. You can get weapons, wield magic, find armor to help you survive this island, and find the Sword of Moonlight. The soldiers in this game are undead, but the water on the island is cursed. It keeps you alive, but also slowly kills you, sort of like the Hollows in Dark Souls. These soldiers are undead and controlled by Necron, an evil magician. Mini bonus! If you stand like this, you can sort of spell out sex on the compass. I used to call my parents into a room and be like, look at that thing in the corner there. Oh, well, look at this monster. Look at this monster. Look at this monster. Look. And I thought I was a rebel because I had sex written on the screen. Bonus tip number 2. Prepare yourself to see the saddest monster video game death ever. Brings a tear to my eye. Number 8, Abe's Odyssey. I had this game as a kid and it was impossible. It took me weeks to get to the alien world, and then I got stuck on Scarabania, the horse alien temple, and never got further. A few years later, I got Oddworld's New and Tasty, and I was determined to clear this game. I press start, and this is what I get. What is this? A frame per second? My laptop can play Fallout 4 on Ultra HD, but not a game that was made in 1997. It's been 20 years. Thankfully, you can emulate the original, and with save states, you can finally save all 100 Madokans, if you include Abe. Number 7, Kabuto Deception 2. Real-time strategy with a difference. Instead of running into an enemy's encampment or a monster's base, swords and magic blazing, In Deception, the enemies come to you and you use traps, bombs, fires, giant boulders, oh my, to cripple and kill your invaders. You play as Millennia, a young woman that has been kidnapped as a child and raised as a living weapon to kill the enemies of your captors, the Time Noids. Who are the Time Noids? They are an immortal race of giant, muscly smurfs that rule the world and sacrifice humans to maintain their immortality. One of the things I loved about this game is the enemy bios. It shows the stats but also gives you a little bit of their backstory. How many nameless genome soldiers have you shot through? How many Sims have you trapped in a doorless, windowless room and let starve? Well, how do you feel about a giant tank that has been a slave his entire life and is promised freedom if he retrieves a relic in the castle you're guarding? Just let him have it, you say? Well, you can't, because some wally rigged the castle to implode if the relic is touched. Well, I guess it's going to be a brick to the back of the head for you, slave boy. Don't worry, things cheer up in the next level, where you kill a father and mother looking for the relic because they think it will cure their terminally ill son. Ooh. And you can kill the son. Well, he had long left anyways. Number 6, Final Fantasy VII. 7. Who doesn't know 7? Play the original before the remake is out. Didn't want Aerith to die? Game Shark can let you complete the game with her back. Why not complete the game as Sephiroth? Do you know there's a challenge called the Level 99 in Reactor 1 challenge? Seriously, look it up. It's an incredible waste of human life. It takes 50 hours and there's no save points. So originally you had to leave your PlayStation on for about 3 days. Okay, we're halfway there. Now before you try and reach your hands through the screen and strangle me, remember, this is not top 10 PlayStation 1 games of all time. This is top 10 PlayStation games for the smartphone. If you think I legitimately forgot a great game and should be on this list, then let me know in the comments below. If you like this video and want to see a top 20, I'll show the games I left out. Leave a like and let me know. But here we go, back to the list. Number 10, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Castlevania, son. Possibly the greatest Castlevania of all time. For me anyway. I played Castlevania on the PlayStation 4 and I just turned it off before I got through the tutorial. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is a very sexy game with very sexy monsters and very sexy music. Side-scrolling exploration RPG bliss at your fingertips. You play as Dracula's son, Alucard, and you're going to storm Daddy's castle, and you get weapons, armors, familiars, transform yourself into a battle wolf on the way to your family reunion. This game works and controls great on your smartphone. Number 4. Okay, so I couldn't decide between 1 or 2, so I'm going to put them in as a joint number 4. Parasite Eve 1 and Parasite Eve 2. I'm saying Parasite Eve 1 and 2 because Parasite Eve 1 was great. Parasite Eve 2 was great. And Parasite Eve 3 was great. Resident Evil mixed with Silent Hill, throwing some biomagic, strong sexy women, and mutating monstrous animals, I'm in. You play as Aya, a female version of Jackie Chan's Super Cop. What would you do if you walked in a room and saw this? A giant rat mutating monster, leaking blood, pus and bile, twisting and contorting into a giant jagged-toothed beast. Would you A. immediately drop bricks, B. leap to the nearest chair screaming, C. both? Major choice? Well, Aya has chosen D, to run right up to it and crack it in the jaw with a tonfa. Listen, just listen to this music. Number 3, Metal Gear Solid VR missions. Now, before you get your pitchforks out, just hear me out. Anyone with a PlayStation has played Metal Gear Solid. Okay, it's one of the greatest games of all time, and if this was a top 10 all-time PlayStation 1 games, this would be at the top, but it's not. It's for smartphone, and when you play smartphone, you're mostly just doing it for something to do. You play it on A, the bus, B, the toilet, or just when you're trying to kill some time. And VR missions is perfect. You've got 300 missions to drop in and out of. You've got weapon mode, sneaking mode, you can play puzzle mode, where you're a solid Scooby-Doo snake, and you can fight the Godzilla of genome soldiers. And by far the best is ninja mode. Run, somersault, and slash away to victory. Number 2, Tomb Raider 1. Yes, feel the waves of nostalgia flow back. The music tickling every synapse in your brain. This is how a game is made. Our first introduction to Lara Croft, and this is still my favourite Tomb Raider of all time. I wouldn't even give Anniversary the time of day. Yes, Lara was the ultimate hero, going solo Indiana Jones style, exploring caves, ancient ruins and living spaceships, It's filled with wild animals, dinosaurs, aliens, booby traps, and boobies. And this thing gave me nightmares when I was a kid. As soon as this thing would grab me, I'd run over to the PlayStation, reset it, before he could do this. Jesus. Let's compare this to the Anniversary Edition. Wow. Any second now. Any second now. Any second. Oh, okay. New and improved. I love jokes. Okay, number 1. Here we go. Deep breath, deep breath. Number 1. Resident Evil 2. Yes, you cannot deny this as number 1, a PlayStation 1 game of all time. And luckily, it's great on the smartphone too. All the greatness of Resident Evil 1 with added oomph. When in Resident Evil 1 you played as 2 different characters with one story, Resident Evil 2 has 2 characters but 2 different scenarios. Scenario A and Scenario B for each character. So you've got 4 playthroughs to get 100%. Or so I thought when I put the game away, pleased with myself for conquering Raccoon City. Then about a year later I see this. A cheat book with some SWAT member in Resident Evil 2 saying you can play as Hunk if you complete the game with certain conditions. I wanted to get out Resident Evil 2, but because I'm not this guy, or even this guy, my disc was nowhere to be found, so it never happened. Fast forward to 2016, and I have myself an emulator on smartphone. The first thing I download, Resident Evil 2. One little cheat code and boosh, we've got the 4th Survivor. People might think this is unfair or takes away from the rewarding experience. Well, that's fair enough, I can understand. But for me, I haven't got time anymore. Between work, videos, eating, sleeping and fighting this headache called tiredness. So if I can just enter a code and play what I want to play, instead of sacrificing hours just to get there, then that's fine. So that was my top 10 smartphone PlayStation 1 games. Believe me, there were a bunch of games I wanted to put in, but I couldn't. I could only pick 10. If you're hungry for more and want to see 11 to 20 list, comment below. But that's the end of my list. Didn't agree? Well, kiss my balls. But before you kiss my balls, could you like the video please?